was going to just print off something so that you get a little summary of some of the stuff I've done. I mean, it's kind of a front and the back. So you can kind of
Thank you.
Let's grab one more.
No.
Thank you.
Okay, we just have a few questions. I think there's like 10, 11 that we're asking each candidate. And so we'll just start.
Okay.
And I think Bill, it's your turn to start this one.
Can you tell us why you're interested in serving on the Spring Lake Park City Council?
Well, I think I'm interested because I think that Spring Lake Park is a wonderful place to live and raise a family, and I think that I'd like to participate and help out in any way I can to make it a better place to live and raise a family.
Thank you.
Me next? Okay.
I wanted you to get all your...
All right.
started
Well,
in
last
T's
time we went
crossed.
straight in a row, so, okay. You're confusing me. That's okay.
That's because we had you start last time, sorry.
Please give us a brief overview of your education and your work experience.
Okay, well, it's kind of summarized there, but I can verbalize it a little bit more. I've got my master's in finance and my bachelor's in accounting, master's from St. Thomas, bachelor's from Gustavus. I've been in banking for 20 some odd years, primarily commercial banking, working with small business customers, trying to help them improve their businesses, and I've done everything from doing audits on the customers' books to make sure that they've got the collateral for the loans that they're requesting, the lines of credit that they're requesting, to looking at appraisals and talking with appraisers to make sure that the numbers come in correctly so that we can make the loans to the businesses as they request them. Or sometimes we have to tell them no, but I'm big on no, well, here's the reasons why. You know, I think that that's most important, is that you give them a quick answer and tell them the reasons, and then it's like a little cut, you know. You don't want to saw it. Sawing hurts a lot more than just little.
And a little off-the-wall question I'm going to add to this just a little bit. There wouldn't be, our city don't do any business with your banks now, so we'd ever have a conflict. Mm-hmm. Okay, I mean, do you understand what I just tried to say to you?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah. And I looked it up on the system.
So you're safe?
Yeah.
Okay.
What attributes would you bring to the council?
Well, enthusiasm, I think, a little bit of, I know that there's probably a lot of business savvy here now, but another ear to bounce things off of in terms of, well, I was thinking in terms of like, appraisals and the board of review and things of that nature, helping out, looking at, because I have a history of looking at financials, I think I could kind of boil those down and give some good insight into finances of and how operations work. I noted that in the last bond rating that you got for the last $675,000 issue, they pointed out some areas where you can improve the bond rating by doing 1, 2, and 3. Well, I'd like to take a look at some of those areas and see if we couldn't boost it up a little bit. I know, one of them, of course, reduce the amount of debt outstanding. Well, that's going to take place over time, but if we can look at all aspects and really work with rating agencies to improve things, I think it'd be better for the city.
Thank you.
do you believe are the city's strengths?
Well, I like the fact that we've got everything in pretty easy access. I can bike around to practically any place that I need to go, even during the winter if I cared to. Not that I cared to. But I like the accessibility. I live on Able Street, as you can see, so it's the accessibility of the schools, the closeness of a lot of the general amenities, I think, should be a big attraction of the city. And I think it is a big attraction of the city. And I think the people too. I like to wait. Last evening I was out shoveling and I was able to wave to the guy plowing. He waved back and all that stuff. So I think that's a pretty positive sense. I grew up in Chisago Lakes, and so I'm kind of used to maybe a little bit more small town type of camaraderie, if you will, or closeness. You know the people around you, and that's what I like about Spring Lake Park too. You could jump back up to the top question there, and put that in there too. That it is pretty. I think a pretty close community where people know each other and aren't afraid to stop if you're wandering around and say hi to people that you know and see if you can help out if you can.
Well, number 5. What do you feel is the greatest issues facing the city?
Well, it's facing the city, the county, the state, the nation. I think the biggest issues are just the fact that growth is going to be slow, and trying to maintain services while maintaining a decent standard of living for the people who are giving those services. That's going to kind of be the biggest hurdle, I think. And so we're going to have to, I think, be thinking smarter in terms of how we're doing things, and trying to really be more inventive in terms of how we accomplish the services that we want to extend to our constituents.
Explain your philosophy about public services, taxes, and budgeting.
Well, maybe I'll start with budgeting first. I think budgeting's pretty critical. I talk to it with my business customers all the time that you got to do the monthly budget and measure against it. Granted, there are going to be situations where things go out of whack, but then you better be able to find out why they went out of whack and address it promptly so that you can adjust things and not let it go until, oh, guess what? We were off $1,000 in January. We didn't address it until December, and so now we're off $120,000. Well, if you would have addressed it earlier, you probably would have solved the issue and caused a lot less pain. So that's my philosophy on budgeting is really kind of trying to lance the boil before it blows up, I guess you could say. And I also think that government should be there to help out the people as much as they can. I don't think that government should do everything for anybody. I also don't think that we need to invent ways to help out people. I think that I guess I have a philosophy that people are inherently good and smart, and they can figure things out, and if they need a helping hand, oftentimes they should be the ones who ask for it, not go out and look for opportunities that how can I put it? Look to solve problems before they're really problems, I guess is what I'd say.
People should be more proactive on their own.
Yeah,
Is that what you're trying to say in the short of it all?
that'd be a good short of it all.
Excuse me, if you could change some aspect of Spring Lake Park's governance, direction, or focus, what would that be?
I think one thing that I would like to participate in, if possible, is I think improving a little on the communication side and the discussion of the reasons why actions are taken side. I guess that's what I think that could use a little bit of help. Not that it's terrible now. I mean, I read the bulletins and all that stuff, but I just think that more is always better.
And you don't want to go into focuses, or it was kind of a three-part question. If you, the governance, direction, and focus, you lump that all together.
Well, I think that focus kind of encompasses the answer, as you said, that being more proactive. That individuals should encourage individual proactivity as opposed to government proactivity. Not that, once again, that the government sits back and waits for things to fall on top of it, but that we recognize the individual as a positive being, if you will.
Over the next 3 to 5 years, what goals do you want to see? Number 1, the police department achieve. Number 2, the liquor store achieve. And number 3, the park and recs department achieve.
The police department, I think they do a good job, but I think that their goals should be focused on taking care of the citizens of Spring Lake Park and trying to maintain the high standard of living, I think, that we have around here. I mean, I know that there's issues, isn't there? There's always issues, but I think that the police department has done a good job of keeping those in the minimum and not letting things get blown way out of proportion. No. And the other two...
The next question would be, what would you like to see the liquor store achieve?
I'd like the liquor store to achieve some cleaner air in there. I know. No, of course I'd like to increase profits and maybe diversify a little bit in the selection. You know, I think that more and more higher margin items, and this is from my business, working with some liquor distributors and stuff, the higher margin items are becoming, more like the specialty beers and stuff like that. So maybe getting away from some of the more watered down type of product and going to a little bit more higher margin product.
And then number 3, I'd like the park and recreation department. What would you like to see them achieve?
I'd like to, my stepson plays softball every year. So I like that tournament that they run run through that, but I think that there'd be more opportunities to do things, more utilization of the parks, I think, is kind of the biggest thing I'd like to see folks on. You know, I live right by Able Park, and I think that's a great place. But, I mean, I can't tell you how many times during the summer I go out there and there's all 3 ball fields are vacant. There's no soccer going on or anything there. I think that some of those things could be expanded upon a little bit.
Thank you. Describe your experience in working collaboratively and building consensus.
I like to say I do that every day because I got it with the bank's customers and with the people that I work with throughout the bank. Just as an example, maybe it'd be, today I was looking through a development appraisal, land development. And unfortunately, we don't have the correct forms to do it, so I have to call over to loan operations and see what they have and how they'd like to look at it. Talk to my boss, who's head of lending, and see how he'd like to look at it, and then kind of come up with a solution. Luckily, I was able to do that, but I think that that's kind of some of the ways I like to solve things is you got to talk to people and get their opinion and then give them alternatives to what would work out. And we could do it the long way. We could invent a form, or we could borrow on this one and try to use some different language that I have in this form and make it work. I think presenting alternatives is the best way to go about it.
Thank you.
Is your business or personal schedule flexible enough to accommodate our normal meeting schedule and to allow for an occasional day or early evening function? And will you have adequate time to read your packet and do any necessary research prior to council meetings?
Yes, I wouldn't be applying if I didn't think I could make the grade. I'm currently a treasurer at my church, and I'm running down on my treasurer responsibilities with the basketball association, so this would fit just fine. But yes, and in terms of reading packets, we have loan committee every Tuesday and Friday, and so I'm well acquainted with reading big packets of materials with a lot of numbers in them and trying to sort through them. And I think most importantly, in going through those packets, I'd be looking at. I guess I'm kind of big on going. I'm not sure when the packets are distributed.
Usually the Thursday prior to the meeting.
Okay. But traditionally, what I'd like to do would be to get a hold of the packet, and if I had questions, I'm not big on calling people out in the middle of meetings or anything like that. I'm trying to be more I'm more in favor of being more collaborative and call them Friday then and say, well, could you tell me a little bit more about this? What exactly is going on? And hopefully, I think that solves 2 problems, because the question gets answered, but it gets answered by the person who should answer the question anyway. And not that the person who I had the question of didn't know the answer. It's sometimes you get involved in a lot of different things, and you maybe miss a point. I mean, I see it in credit presentations all the time. Oh yeah, I was going to mention that, but I forgot to. Well, I'd like to give you the opportunity to bring it up in your presentation rather than feeling bad about yourself by me asking a question that you know you could have answered before.
Is there, my turn, right?
Yep.
Yep. Is there anything else you would like to add, like to add to assist us in considering you as a candidate?
Well, being, since I'm taller, I think that that'd be a big advantage.
There aren't many people that make me feel short.
No, but I think, I guess I'd like to say that I think I'd bring some, bring my own enthusiasm to the position, and I look forward to reaching out to the, not only the residents, but also the businesses in the community. And you mentioned being available for events and stuff like that. Well, I guess I'd take it more that if I was going to be on the council, I'd be going out on a regular course of affairs and visiting some of the businesses and asking them how things are going and seeing what's up. Because I think that's an important part of being, of participating in the council as a representative. And I like to have a little fun too, so you can tell.
You go. It's a lot of it.
Well, thank you very much. Did everybody get that last question finished?
Yep.
You put down 6-7.
6, 7? Okay.